tell me about the more recent history of the opera. That is, how many productions have there been? I mean, we all know the stories of Madame Butterfly and Carmen and operas that were initially controversial and only gradually came into popularity. The most spectacular example being probably the Trojans, because it was 100 years before that became a repertory piece. So how many times has it been done now?
Well, it's been done in the first two productions, which were the same production, and then the two productions of the reduced. And all it
Where
seems
were they?
They were Aspen and Ensemble Parallel San Francisco, the makers of the reduced version. And it looks like prospects for production at this point, such as they are all the reduced version. So as Ryan said, that is clearly an important factor in the opera world today. That a big orchestra is certainly, for many companies, a deal breaker. And a big, hard part for the orchestra, too, is. So I see, if I were ever to enter opera again, I would certainly be taking into account what I take to be the shape of the profession, which is, I wasn't thinking much about that. And I was also thinking about the great opportunity, the fascination of a grand opera where certain kinds of scenes only a few places could actually really do. It scenes like that are fun to write. There's the scene where it's kind of, I think of it as the breakdown scene where the confrontation finally starts between Tom and Gatsby, the second party. That was a chance to write a very, very unusual kind of almost triple scene with three kinds of actions going on simultaneously, and very hard to stage. It also has a couple of things where the directors have very, very hard problems. I wanted the scene, again, the shirts. If anybody remembers anything about about Gatsby, they remember the shirts. Well, I felt that had to be in that scene. And I'm glad it is. And actually, the last two directors have come up with unbelievably fancy solutions to that problem. But those are grand opera opportunities. You know, this sort of a stage with a lot of people on it that in which the kind of movement is extremely interlocked. And I think that's all part of a very particular history of opera that we are not going to see too much more of in practical terms.
The piece also has had a kind of half-life, or maybe more than that, because of the number of things that have been extracted from it. There's an orchestral suite, there's a set of etudes for piano, there are the songs. Yeah. I don't know what else there is, actually, that you've pulled out. The overture, of course, has a concert live.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think those extractions, though I was reluctant on all cases, they're a very smart thing to have. The suite was only a few years ago, an interesting attempt to make a piece, an orchestra piece, and not sort of the vanity of all my favorite spots, but something different from that, something actually David Zinman helped me to conceive, where you do something that is a facet of the opera and which has a reasonably coherent shape, which means that I had to do a great many fittings. I think you know, when you make a collection like that, you can do it the easy way, which is to sort of things that go next to each other without too many hours figuring out what to.
And Rosenkavalier waltzes.
How to figure them out. Yeah, right. This involved quite a lot of tailoring, and some were quite interesting to do. And that part of the tailoring part of opera is part of the fun. I've finally come around to that. San Francisco had wanted to end the first act without Nick coming back to find Daisy and Gatsby. And I didn't like it at all, but it seemed to me, it almost started to appeal to me as a problem. So they said, we need to end that scene, give us some chords. It took me only about 15 minutes to write 3 chords. And 3 chords for a big orchestra, it's a lot of writing. But the reason I was avid for it, I thought this is an operatic task, you know. No other music really asks you to come up with something that will convince and something which radically, it's like surgery. You took the kidney out, you know, and you want no scar. You know, that's fascinating about the operatic medium.